So we begin. Dear fathers, alumni, company person, presidents. I'm very happy to have you all here in Milan, in our beloved school, for this important spring meeting, Asia 2024. Yesterday, we were curiously in Milan, and we saw La Supper of Leonardo da Vinci and two important churches, Santa Maria delle Grazie and Sant'Ambrogio. Today we host this round table, and in the afternoon we begin our working sections. So, in the meanwhile, our accompanying person will visit the Duomo Cathedral and will be tourist also today. I really want to thank you all for your wonderful way to be, because I really feel at home with you. And I think that the reason is that when you meet alumni, you feel at home, and there's a link that there is something that links each other. So thank you for your friendship and your kind way to be. Our inner spirit is taking care of poorest and looking at the cross in the spirit of Sant'Ignazio as a friend in Christ. Because we want to be women and men for the others and with the others, as said Padre Converback, starting from Padre Arupe. So we are getting together here from all around Europe, and in the spirit of this friendship that linking alumni and in the Institute Leone XIII, I'm so honored to introduce the General Director, Professor Vincenzo Sibillo, who studied too in this school. So thank you.
Thank you, Marina. Welcome everybody to Leone XIII, the Jesuit school in Milan. Like you heard I am an alumnus, then teacher, headmaster, and now principal or general director. Choose what you prefer. What have I learned after so many years? I learned what Pope Francis said yesterday, meeting with the International Commission on the Apostolate of Educating. He said, educating means waiting, persevering, and insisting with love. On Thursday, we celebrated the 130th anniversary of the school. On Thursday, Pope Francis announced the canonization of Blessed Carlo Acutis, that was studying in our school when he fell ill and died in October 2006. He was a boy like many others, but he had great faith, even though he was so young. Few people had realized it. How was Leone born? Father General Luis Martin, Spanish, during his journey to Rome, passed through Milan on January 1893. He was a guest of the Jesuit residence. In the house diary of Jesuit residence in Milan, we read, after the fraternal agape, our father lingered with everyone around him. Above all, in that event, he showed a very warm desire that something more should be done by our people for the common good in Italy. If we do nothing in Milan, he said, such a large city where there is no shortage of good people, where do we hope to be able to do something? We need to work in the city. We need congregations. We need a college. And to those who pointed out the many difficulties on the part of the liberal government, he said, "The difficulties indicate a way of providence. We must not be afraid of difficulties which cannot be missing, and prevent all actions for those who are afraid. So, let us look forward together to the future with hope, and don't be afraid to discover the next way of our beautiful journey." Thanks for your attention and enjoy your day. Thank you, Vincenzo. I call for Fabio Croccolo for small words. Welcome. Thank you, Fabio.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. I'm really happy to have you here in Italy and in Milan. As you probably remember, 5 years ago when we had the annual meeting in Italy, in Naples, unfortunately, a few weeks before the meeting, my mother had a stroke and I couldn't participate to the meeting because I was in the hospital with her. It had been a very hard period at the time, and so I'm really happy from the deepest of my heart to kind of recover today that moment. So thank you very much for being here with us. I'm really happy to stay all together. And I would like to thank a lot Marina and her staff. They did an enormous and excellent job. Believe me, they had a very tough duty in front of them because Milan is not easy to be organized, especially in this period. And I would like to thank as well Giuseppe, that represents the Federation of Me at European level, because unfortunately, due to family and job, I cannot participate in all the meetings. And he did as well an enormous job for working all together and creating this event. That's all. I don't want to waste the time, but thank you very much for being together. As Vincenzo said, on Thursday, celebrating the 130 year, the Father Provincial said that the core word of being alumni of the Jesuits is French. And I would like to close with that. Thanks for the French.
Dear friend, just a few seconds because I have the pleasure to introduce you and thanking for his presence the Uja President Francisco Guarner, called Paco for the friends, and I asked to him to please come here just for a few words because it's very important to have together with us the president of this important connection with European and the other countries of the world. Uja is World Unity Jesus Alumni. Please, Paco. I wait for you. Well, thank you. Really, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to be at home because well, Italy is Italy is Europe. We saw that means we are all together. Fabio, you mentioned to us the friendship, and this is really that my feeling is well. Today I'm really yes, I'm president of the World Union, and World Union is World Union. That means it's world, is union, and the part of very important is Europe. And for me, from Barcelona, just to be here, without these ladies that we met 10 ago, yourself, senior people, young people, medium people, but Jesuit alumni. So we are Jesuit alumni, and my pleasure, my rituals together, and we say in Barcelona, values united us and the future move us. thinking the future, take the advantage or the past as a good experience. I want to remember Enrique and Greek that for all of them being our president and secretary of the European Confederation, but today Felipe is taking care of that. And so Italy is our own house, as the Vatican say, with powers, with the young, with the exercise, spiritual exercise, and economic house. So we have a common future that is Europe, with the Confederation Ex-Alunni. So thank you to everybody and very welcome, or thank you for your welcome.
Thank you, Paco. I would like to introduce you Giuseppe Crispino, head of institutional and international relationship, that will introduce this roundtable that we are going to.
Please, thank you, Stefano. Dear Paco, dear Felipe, dear Fabio, dear Marina, thank you very much for being here. Welcome to everybody. Welcome to our alumni. This is the start of our meeting. It is not an accident. It is not a coincidence that we have chosen to start with this panel. Because we believe, we are convinced, we are strongly convinced that our European meetings are not only a way, an event to talk each other for our inside person, but also the event that has a chance, a big chance for us to exchange experience, to exchange, to discover our spiritual, our cultural background, and to share common project, common cultural project. And this is a way that we can do not only with alumni, but also with the persons that are not alumni. And so it is not a casualty that we begin our meeting with a thematic and cultural panel in which we want to share with us our way in Italy to be educational community. In Italy, to be educational community in School of Jesuits mean also to be a network and to do a networking between schools. It is a chance for a school of south of Italy, for example, I come from Naples, for example, to live as a student, as teacher, as manager, is educational experience in the school of north of Italy. And we believe strongly in this exchange of experience to be united and to be locally better than alone. We are convinced that these methods we can offer to you as European citizenship, and we wait in the next meeting that the same way to look our experience we can receive from you as European in other state of European Union. So we want that after the relation, the question to our Josephine and to our father, we have also a debate with us to discover better this way to do education. So I want to thank you, but I want to thank especially our Josephine and our father to be here, because they represent an institution that governs the educational system in Italy, and with whom we have a natural and strong relationship, because we are a part of community education. I want to give you 3 words. Formation, that is what we do in school. Education, that is what we do in the Jesuit school. Education is the formation, it's learning with value and with principle. The 3 words is the culture. The culture is that we can do as citizenship that has the cultural and spiritual background,
And that and this culture is the third word that we can offer also as alumni after the schools. But to do it, we have to work together, and we are very grateful to our foundation of Jesuit education to be with us. And I give you the floor, and I hope that there is the staff meeting with the perspective of cultural progress. Okay, thank you very much.
Prima di tutto dobbiamo lasciare alle spalle il pensiero istintivo che considera la fondazione come una funzione bancomat o distributrice di risorse economiche. Stiamo invece parlando di una fondazione di partecipazione.
Participation. This is a key word, but what do you participate in with the schools?
Se la fondazione non partecipa nella rete in termini, come dicevamo prima, di una funzione bancomat, partecipa di una ispirazione. L'ispirazione è un patrimonio. Non mi intrattengo molto su discorsi relativi all'ispirazione gesuitica ed ignaziana del nostro apostolato educativo. Sarebbe molto interessante, ma vi rimando a tutto quanto affermato a livello di compagnia universale, a livello di provincia e a livello appunto di fondazione nelle sue linee guida. Questa è la pubblicazione che abbiamo prodotto che ci dà le linee guida operative della rete.
These are the 3 volumes that the Fondazione has created in these past years, which give us the guidelines of governance in our 8 schools. We have 8 schools. There is 1 in Malta, 6 in Italy, and 1 in Albania. Unfortunately, there's no Jesuit school in Romania. But along the years, the foundation has created these guidelines to help the schools in their governance and in their administration.
Quindi io vi parlerò di una storia. Il mio sarà un racconto. My speech will be a history. I tell you an history of our schools, an history of our province. Come noi arriviamo a fare la scelta di una fondazione di partecipazione? Eravamo alla fine dei primi anni del 2000. Era provinciale padre Carlo Casalone. Avevamo appena vissuto la congregazione di provincia quinta, in questo caso dell'Italia. A suo tempo, nel 2000, era l'Italia. E avevamo prodotto un decreto relativo alla chiusura delle grandi opere. Un decreto sostanzialmente lungimirante, ma alla fine non si è attuato appieno per le fatiche e le resistenze verso chiusure strategiche per riposizionamento dei settori apostolici, intellettuale, giovanile, sociale, in termini di sostenibilità. Tutto questo avveniva nel 2000. Ma alla fine del decennio maturò il pensiero che ridurre non poteva essere l'unica soluzione, era possibile sostenere un sistema di opere complesso e ancora numericamente consistente, riorganizzando il nostro sistema di governo e di gestione. Doveva cambiare qualcosa nella nostra testa, prima ancora che nell'oggettivo pur sovradimensionato delle opere. Nacque così l'idea della fondazione come nuovo sistema di governo e di gestione delle scuole. Entriamo in alcuni dettagli. Diciamo subito che la fondazione non è uno strumento di governo della provincia EUM. In questo caso, quando parlo di provincia EUM, parlo di 4 nazioni prima citate. In altre parole, il presidente, io, non può decidere sui gesuiti e sulle singole opere, come fosse un delegato del provinciale. Il governo delle persone e delle opere rimane nelle mani del provinciale. Quindi, quale autorità ha la fondazione? Possiamo passare.
Yes.
Complimenti.
So you've spoken about the authority of your authority in the perimeter of the foundation and in the school, but what kind of authority has the foundation itself with in front of the school and the Jesuit community?
La fondazione ha l'autorità che gli proviene dal patto di rete che la singola scuola fa quando chiede di entrare a far parte della fondazione. Ogni scuola si attiene a determinate condizioni, regole, ma prima di tutto a un'ispirazione che si attua in programmi specifici. È così che la Fondazione Gesuiti Educazione può esercitare il suo ruolo di accompagnamento, stimolo e attuazione di quanto non vogliamo che si perda nel nostro apostolato educativo. Lo farà in molteplici modi, ricevendo le scuole in sessioni di aggiornamento e formazione, andando nelle scuole per conoscere e dialogare sulle iniziative che si mettono in atto per esercitare le prerogative di rete, il lavoro che fa dettagliatamente in modo più particolare Giuseppini. Ciò che alla fine degli anni 2000 cambia radicalmente e più fortemente è il vecchio concetto di governo incentrato sulla presenza del cosiddetto rettore che voi avrete conosciuto nei vostri anni di scuola. Il rettore era diventato il povero martire per destinazione del provinciale che doveva esercitare insieme governo e gestione con non pochi conflitti di interesse. Nessuno mai ha usato male questo potenziale conflitto, ma molti sono stati sollecitati a fare degli errori che ancora scontiamo in alcune scuole. Questo modo di concepire la conduzione delle scuole era insostenibile, rischioso, pericoloso. Era necessario dividere il livello di governo da quello della gestione. Pensare a un presidente di consiglio di amministrazione e un direttore generale sotto di lui. D'altronde questo è il concetto classico di conduzione di un'azienda, lì dove i nostri collegi in un certo qual modo lo sono e non ammettono ingenuità o gestioni casalinghe, possibili solo in una società non complessa come forse lo era un tempo. Allora, l'ente ecclesiastico che abbiamo in modo diffuso in Italia ma anche a Malta si fornì di uno statuto. Questo definiva la composizione e le competenze del governo e della gestione. Ritornando alla sostenibilità di un comparto apostolico pesante a livello strutturale, posizionando così i gesuiti al governo e in classe, nella propria competenza, specialmente pastorale, abbiamo potuto offrire un modello anche ad altre scuole paritarie del mondo ecclesiale. Altre scuole gestite nel vecchio sistema oggi non esistono più. Hanno dovuto chiudere, condannate dalla debolezza stessa della vita religiosa in crisi numeriche.
So, you've spoken about this numerical crisis that the religious life comes to. And the changes that Fondazione Gesuiti Educazione that are going on since the 2000s onwards. So what are those changes in details? Can you explain us?
Sono molti i cambiamenti che sono avvenuti. Non esiste più un concetto di scuola definito e chiuso nel locale. Forse voi eravate abituati, il sociale, il Gonzaga, il Leone. Esiste un sistema educativo che si incrocia continuamente a livello di governo. Io incontro i presidenti, direttori generali, amministratori, eccetera. I ragazzi gioiscono di eventi comuni che si concepiscono comunità allargata. Diamoci un tono, Laudato Si, gemellaggi vari, Kairos, che è un percorso di avvio alla spiritualità di esercizio spirituale. Tutto ciò diventa struttura, tutto questo struttura le iniziative di rete. Non vorrei dare uno scenario irenico. Molte sono le fatiche, le difficoltà, ma a differenza di un tempo non le nascondiamo. Non si lasciano in testa al rettore che può decidere sbagliando, ma le esprimiamo, le discutiamo e si cerca di risolverle dentro un rapporto di insieme. Molte volte si parla di rete ed ebbi modo di dire in diverse circostanze l'uso e l'abuso di queste parole. Fabio si ricorderà l'anno scorso. Per la Fondazione Gesuiti Educazione la rete può essere garantita da una parola che preferiamo mettere a monte di tutto, che è l'accompagnamento. Posto un patto di rete, ci aiutiamo, accompagniamo. Giuseppe parte, va in una scuola e entra in relazioni in termini di accompagnamento nell'implementazione della nostra visione educativa.
I was giving an example of how I am actually accompanying the schools. As you will realize later on, I am in the foundation, as responsible for this specific theme of global citizenship. But it's useless doing it just through sending emails, sending resources. But I am in the schools. There need to be a presence in the schools to accompany not only teachers, but even the council of heads and teachers, educators, actually call them, and even students. So our presence is there to listen, first of all. It's listening. And from there, you can direct in a way according to where the school stands. In fact, if I may add as well, this is how many Jesuit missionaries went in different parts of the world. They didn't go to actually evangelize people, but actually they was seeing how God actually was working in that reality, in that cultural, political, and social situation.
Accompagnamento, ci sembra questo il nodo che fa la rete. Guardate la rete, ci sono dei nodi e ci sono dei vuoti. Una rete senza nodi è fatta solo di spazi vuoti. accompagnamento è il nodo. La Fondazione Gesuiti Educazione è una fondazione che si mette a servizio delle realtà locali per aiutarle a gestirsi e a governarsi bene, per sostenere una formazione continuamente aggiornata all'ispirazione ignaziana da garantire. Non scendo nei particolari dell'accompagnamento gestionale, economico, accompagnamento nella pastorale, accompagnamento nel raggiungimento dello standard educativo voluto, accompagnamento nella tutela di minori. Capite che poi il dettaglio del servizio di accompagnamento è molteplice e particolareggiato, ma a questo punto io do la voce a Alessia, che in questo momento sta assumendo le funzioni del direttore generale della Fondazione.
Now is giving the floor to Alessia Fontana, who is at interim now, replacing the Director General of the Foundation.
So, what does the term accompaniment? Okay. What does the term accompaniment really mean? So, what does the term accompaniment really mean? For us, there is a common way of proceeding that unifies all the actions undertaken by the Foundation in different fields. All activity streams are organized in this way. There is a network coordinator, like Josephine, a central figure who coordinates the work of local coordinators. Those individuals identified as responsible for that specific sector of activity in each school. We operate following this way, for example, accompanying the educational proposal composed of the so-called red threads of the curriculum, technologies, global citizenship, tutoring, and pastoral care, which individually require development and at the same time integration among them. Always concerning the accompaniment to the so-called charismatic area, we develop training activities, both in collaboration with XIII, which addresses teachers, and independently for sports centers, for example, as well in collaboration with other third parties, such as the Gregorian University, for training in child protection. In addition to the identity-based areas of the educational proposal and training, there are other sectors of accompaniment that we can define as instrumental to achieving the mission, but no less important or demanding: apostolic economic management, strategic planning, governance, communication, fundraising. The accompaniment of schools work can be imagined as a two-way movement. On one hand, the Foundation takes from the individual local institution, gathering experiences, ideas, and procedures to make them available to the entire network. So sharing best practices for the benefit of the community. On the other hand, the Foundation gives skills, stimuli, common objectives, and goals towards which to lead the individual institution through a single coordinated action.
Una parola ancora sulla Fondazione Gesuiti Educazione ed il suo rapporto al contesto europeo. Vi dico che questo sistema di fondazione non sempre è facilmente compreso. Ho dovuto impiegare del tempo per far capire che la provincia Eum non avendo un delegato per i collegi, non è sprovvisto di qualcosa, ma ha qualcosa in più rispetto ad altre province che non si organizzano come noi. È stato difficile far capire che la delega, ho detto non di governo, non è affidata a una persona, ma ad un sistema dettato dai fini istituzionali della Fondazione Gesuiti Educazione. Il vero delegato per noi è la Fondazione, non il presidente di essa. È così che la provincia Eum è rappresentata nel GEX da Nicola Bordogna e non da Claudio Barritta. Ma diciamo due parole sul GEX.
So first of all, JEXA stands for the Jesuit European Committee for Primary and Secondary Education and Schools. And it's a sort of network, a European network of all the Jesuit schools in Europe. And I happen to be part of JEXA as a task force, in the task force specifically because even in JEXA, there are task forces for global citizenship. And they consider it of a great advantage that our foundation, the way it is organized, the way it is governed, how we help and accompany schools, which doesn't exist in other European countries or provinces. And we are helping through our representative, the foundation representative, Nicola Bordogna. So there is an exchange, let's say, of vision and way of governing and accompanying our schools. So it's sort of a network, another wider network, a European network.
La nostra esperienza passata è che il delegato dei collegi, al pari dei rettori, non ce la faceva a raggiungere gli scopi prefissati per una sproporzione tra le forze del singolo e il peso specifico del comparto. Il delegato alla fine aveva poca incidenza sui collegi, perché era solo, non munito di una struttura che lo aiutasse a veicolare in percorsi formativi le cose che affermava a voce. Ho parlato delle scuole oggi per presentare una situazione aggiornata. Spero che tutto ciò non vi confonda rispetto a strutture conosciute nei decenni passati, strutture che non esistono più. Piuttosto spero che tutto ciò vi stimoli a pensare quali possano essere oggi i luoghi specifici in cui gli ex-alunni possano offrire il loro servizio in modo non anacronistico ad opere che hanno dovuto svolgere un cammino di aggiornamento sotto la spinta di una società in veloce cambiamento. Mi fermo qui e il mio augurio è di un buon lavoro per tutta la giornata.
Thank you for this introduction to Padre Barretta and Ecja and Tanya. And we can proceed after this overview with another really important point that is about the global citizenship that is introduced by Josephine herself. Just a second, because to introduce this argument, Josephine wants to show you this.
What is global citizenship education? The world is getting closer than ever. But in the world, problems like conflicts, poverty, inequality, and environmental destruction are becoming more serious. Is this the world we want? No. We want a more peaceful, just, and sustainable society. Who can make this possible? We can. And when? Now. We are citizens of the world, and we need to foster global citizenship to create the world we want. Then who is a global citizen? A person who travels abroad, or who can speak foreign languages, or who helps poor countries? Global citizens are those who respect the values of justice, equality, and diversity and take actions to bring changes. Global citizenship education is for you, me, and all of us. And it is an education for everyone's more just and peaceful future.
Josephine, this UNESCO video is soliciting, but also about global citizenship as we were looking at it. But it's calling also for our Christian values and even stronger the nation pedagogy. So, how this global dimension developed throughout the society of Jesus and in our schools?
Okay, as an introduction, I put on that video purposely through the UNESCO because it was in 2015 that UNESCO issued the first international guidelines on global citizenship education. But the global dimension has always been part of the mission of the Society of Jesus. From the beginning, let's say, in the year 1500s, Sant'Ignazio and his fellow missionaries traveled the world, wrote letters to each other, speaking about the experiences they were having. And the schools learned more about the world around them. Although our world has changed, this aspect of our mission has not. Arguably, it is more important now than ever, as we live in an increasingly interconnected world. So, let's go through our story in a way. One of the main, let's say, documents is the Ratio Studiorum, issued in 1599. And this first document outlined a global educational system for Jesuit schools. The Society of Jesus developed a plan of studies for Jesuit and lay students alike. It sought to integrate the humanist curriculum and its emphasis in character formation with the disciplines of theology, philosophy, and imperatives of Christianity. If we just go through the general conferences and the Father Generals, we can quote Father Pedro Arrupe, who recommitted the Jesuits to a faith that does justice. And quoting his actual words in 1973 when he addressed Ex-Alunni, telling them to be actually men for others at that period, now it's become men and women for others, became the guiding principle of Jesuit education. Following this, Father Peter Hans Kolvenbach believed faith best serves justice in the context of intercultural and interreligious dialogue. He further described a man or woman for and with others as one who acts with conscience, competence, compassion, and commitment, what we call the 4 C's. Father General Adolf Nicholas initiated a renewal of religious life, calling for the Society of Jesus to go to the frontiers, to meet the global realities, the justice and spiritual needs of people, cultures, and the earth itself. And finally, Father Sosa advances the mission of justice and reconciliation through the analysis of personal, social, and political complexity and in engaging in dialogue between cultures and religions building bridges across divisions. And in 2017, when he was addressing the global gathering of Jesuit delegates of Jesuit schools all over the world in Rio de Janeiro, I quote what he said, and it's here that the Society of Jesus began using the concept of global citizenship. We should be able to put together educational programs that help us to think and act locally and globally, without dichotomies between the two dimensions, moving towards interculturality while understanding the cultural, social, and religious diversity of our world as something enriching, without losing our Christian and Ignatian identity. And recently, we have some international documents as well. And we are going now through a new era, let's say, of interconnectedness and interdependence. In 2019, following this Rio de Janeiro gathering, the Worldwide Secretariat for Education led to a task force to reflect on the topic of preparing students for global citizenship. And I had the chance to be nominated to be part and to represent our province on this international task force, which was a very enriching experience. But first of all, we were representing the 6 regions in the world, and we could feel this common bonding of Ignatian spirituality among us. There was a real strong bonding. As a result, the task force offered a general framework for Jesuit schools, and the title was Global Citizenship, an Ignatian Perspective. A global citizen, a true companion of all humanity and creation. And the task force now offers an inspiring definition of a global citizen. And this is the definition. Global citizens are those who continuously seek to deepen their awareness of their place and responsibility, both locally and globally, in an increasingly interconnected world. Those who stand in solidarity with others in the pursuit of a sustainable earth and a more humane world as true companions in the mission of reconciliation and justice. And this is consistent with our educational tradition that calls us to be always attentive to times, places, and people and respond accordingly. We always need to consider the context so that our education can really respond to reality. Our historic context, as we have seen, requires us today to respond to the reality of a new era of humanity in which we realize the interconnectedness of our lives. The enormous challenges of climate change, the pandemic, and immigration, to name just a few, make clear this new reality. In the same year, an official document on Jesuit education and living tradition, we have it in the 3 languages, proposes the global identifier number 3. There are 10 global identifiers which identify now a Jesuit school. And the third one is Jesuit schools should be committed to global citizenship. This identifier calls our schools to prepare students and their families to identify first and primary as members of the human family, with a good responsibility for the entire world, rather than just members of a particular nation or group. This means a new sense of solidarity that goes beyond the traditional solidarity to neighboring nation. It really means to be able to recognize all other humans as siblings. In our divided and polarized world, this is a huge challenge. From an Ignatian perspective, global citizenship is a concept that allows us to really live the radicality of the love of God and neighbor that is offered by Jesus in the Gospel. In our educational tradition, preparing students to be global citizens is to prepare them to truly see God in all things, to be driven by passion, and to utilize the power of religion for justice and peace.
Thank you, Josephine, for this important and really dense documents that you presented to us. But what is the impact in that those documents has in the frame of the Ignatian pedagogical aspects? Sorry. And what is the key aspect of this education, and why the global citizenship is so important for our Jesuit school to train our future leaders that comes out from our schools?
So, global citizenship education aligns seamlessly with the core values, as Roberto was saying, of Jesuit education. And these include primarily the cura personalis, care for the whole person. In fact, yesterday, Pope Francis had a meeting with the International Committee of Jesuit Education, the CAGE, and he repeated once again to emphasize that the human person is the center of our work, emphasizing the development of intellectual, social, emotional, and spiritual capacities. Then the famous word, the magis, the pursuit of excellence, but not excellence only in academic subjects. The excellence where we encourage students to strive for the highest possible good in all aspects of their lives, and not only intellectual. Men and women for others, and this is very important. You know, the Jesuit Ignatian motto is to love and to serve. And this is service to others, instilling a commitment to social justice and solidarity with the marginalized. And finally, the famous Ignatian word, discernment. The critical thinking and decision making. And this is very important because these are the competencies required in our Jesuit schools, but also they form part of the European competence standards as well. Critical thinking, decision making, empowering our students to engage with complex global issues in a thoughtful and informed manner. So it is an opening to the world. How? First of all, an opening to knowledge through the curriculum. Teachers integrate global themes and perspectives of global citizenship into the curriculum across various subjects, highlighting topics such as cultural diversity, social justice, human rights, and environmental sustainability. In fact, at first, going around the schools, this is my 7th year doing this kind of work, they were all astonished. What is this new area of global citizenship? And in fact, when we did a survey among teachers and helping them to realize what this global citizenship is and that they are actually doing it without even realizing that it is global citizenship, one of the questions was, so global citizenship themes are human rights, social justice, sustainability, there's a list. And we have asked them to go and have a look at their syllabi, their subject syllabi, and see which of these themes, these topics, are in their syllabus. And in fact, many of them could find it wasn't just only social studies or religion or history or geography, but in every single subject, any teacher could find one aspect of global citizenship there. So it wasn't all that new. They were actually doing it. So it's developing a personal intercultural competence and incorporate activities that then foster certain values like empathy, respect, understanding of diverse cultures, and teaching practices. And this is very important because sometimes we concentrate on the formation of students, but here it's of very importance, the formation of teachers. They have to own first these competences, because if teachers don't own these competences, how can they transmit them to students? So it's an opening to growth through formation. Educators undergo training that emphasizes the development of students' awareness, understanding, and engagement with global issues, fostering a sense of responsibility and solidarity with others across cultures and borders. So actually, it's the formation of teachers first who have to own all these aspects. And opening to the other through the pastoral activities. Embedding global citizenship values within the spiritual and pastoral dimensions of the school community. This involves fostering empathy, compassion, and a sense of responsibility towards others. And opening to the environmental sustainability through the eco-school committees that we have in the schools, involving reflection on and appreciation of diverse worldviews and understanding and addressing social, ecological, and economic issues crucial to living in a contemporary, independent, and sustainable world. And previously, Father Boetas mentioned one of the common activities within the network, the Laudato Si context. Because both the Laudato Si, Fratelli Tutti, e Laudate Deum are the basis of this education, not only for religion, but as a means to be translated in every subject. An opening to communication through technology. Assuming now we're even talking about digital citizenship as well, which is very, very important. Assuming ease of participation in global spaces in which persons are media and information literate, especially in a world where we are surrounded with fake news, and are equipped with competences and attitudes to deal with the multifaceted nature of a mediated world in which information is no longer bound by space or time. The unprecedented access to and use of media and internet technologies for communication and collaboration, especially among young people, suggest that effective strategies must be found to enable active critical inquiry and effective media production.
Thanks for this really interesting path that you designed. And there's a word that is touching me, is the openness, the open mind, the open of the earth. Well, being open requires good tools to help our student to face the world. Which are the tools that the foundation is giving to our youth, and how the schools are coordinating each other through the foundation?
So I'm glad you've mentioned an openness of mind and heart, because this is what it actually is. And in fact, global citizenship really is a change of a mindset. This is very, very important, a change of mindset. And Pope Francis speaks very much of an ecological conversion. And there is a very good book written by a Jesuit in English, a changed heart means a changed world. And it all starts there. A changed heart, a changed world. So I'll start from the last question so that I can explain this as well to tools. First of all, how is the coordination in schools? I come from a background so that I'll explain even my role within the foundation, how it started, and which doesn't exist neither in XIII and in Ecja, in none of the other Jesuit regions and schools. I never taught in a Jesuit school. I was always working with the state. I taught for 30 years in a state school, secondary level, social studies, and preparing teachers at university for the teaching of social studies. But in the meantime, I was introduced to a project by the Council of Europe and became a national coordinator, not only for the schools, but also for the whole Maltese community on the citizenship and democratic values. And this was a very beautiful project by the Council of Europe. In fact, I was trained by the Council of Europe as a trainer for trainers. In fact, Council of Europe has many times asked me to train head teachers in this citizenship and democratic values. So after 30 years of teaching, I was promoted to a role which is very important. It's part of the structural education in Malta, which is called an education officer. So an education officer is the person in charge, responsible either for a subject or for an area in the whole country. Now, it depends on the number of teachers that are under his or her responsibility. So if there are big numbers of teachers, there would be more than one education officer so that they can work together. What is the role of this education officer? So the education officer is first of all specialized either in the subject or in the area. So there, the education officer is responsible for the formation of all teachers in the Maltese schools, state, Catholic and private schools, independent schools, the formation of the teachers in the subject or in this area, and in the meantime, visiting the schools, visiting teachers during their lessons, helping them to build their own scheme of works and lesson plans, and following and accompanying the teachers in the classroom to help them in their continual development. And that would lead even the education officer to prepare resources, textbooks, and even training programs. So the training programs would come out after having visited and listened to the teachers and see where are the crucial points for teachers. And actually, what I have introduced in the foundation was this kind of role. What I'm doing in the schools, I am trying to do this official work in our 8 schools by introducing this global citizenship. But in Malta, the education officer doesn't work on his or her own. There are what we call heads of department. They have half the load of lessons. And once a week, these heads of department, so it's going to be a language department, an area department, they come together with the education officers to plan and prepare the way forward together. So what I've done is I wanted that each school we created in these guidelines even the profile of a school coordinator for global citizenship. So in each school there is a coordinator for global citizenship. And in the school, because this person can do the work on her own when you've got all the levels from kindergarten up to high school, okay? There is a representative in the school of each level, of each year group. So in the school, there is a global team headed by this school coordinator. I have frequent meetings with my school coordinators, the actual school coordinators, forming them in this global citizenship. Now they are even able, we are working now, and they have really just last month produced beautiful roadmaps, which we want to present to JEXA in the long run. So after these 7 years of training, working in the schools, how would you present it to your teachers, to other schools? So we are empowering them as well. So every time I have meetings to coordinate and giving them the way forward, how to develop this in the schools, and they themselves have this sort of meeting with their global team. But that is not enough. Since, as you have heard previously in my speech, this has to be coordinated, not on its own. It has to be integrated in the whole school community. And so we do work as well with the curriculum, with the formation, with technology, and with the pastoral activities. So we are trying to coordinate all this together so that there would be a common element running through the schools. It's not something added on, but it's integrated in the whole school. And one of the tools, as you can see here, which we are using is the Global Citizenship Calendar. So this comes out. When I was an education officer, I realized that the United Nations has a number of international days. And I said, I can't do an international day every day and give it to the teachers because it would be too much. So I've created a sort of a calendar. We've got a specific international day for every month. For example, I quote 10 December is the Universal Human Rights Day. Okay, we don't fix it just for the 10 December, but let's say December will be a month dedicated to human rights. So here, it's a sort of a resource that helps students to feel the tangibility of global citizenship. So we highlight the key dates, the events throughout the year, because every year, each international day, there is even a theme added to it. And it's giving sort of significant international observers related to this theme. And I try every month formulate a sort of a circular with the theme of the specific year, suggesting activities, giving them educational resources, and ways to take action. And in fact, it's really marvelous how in many of our schools this has already been integrated in all subjects and a vertical system, starting from kindergarten up to the high secondary. So this is something that has really, it raises awareness, it promotes understanding, it inspires engagement in global citizens and citizenship among students, educators, and development. Then we have the international platform, Educate Margis. So it's a global apostolic online community of educators from the Jesuit Global Network of Schools. It facilitates communication and collaboration among teachers, students, and administrators across different countries and cultures, fostering a sense of global community and solidarity. In fact, one of the beautiful programs they have is Connected Classrooms. And this is very beautiful because teachers get in connection with other teachers around the world. It could be similar subjects they are teaching, and they create a sort of a virtual classroom in Italy with India, for example. And teachers are coordinating together. And this is an openness of our students linking to other students in the world. And finally, there is the twinning and exchange programs, which provide students with opportunities to immerse themselves in diverse cultures, fostering empathy, cross-cultural understanding and respect. And they have collaborative projects. And through these collaborative projects, they develop the crucial skills of addressing global challenges. At the moment, through the international task force, I'm on another international task force at the moment, to create a strategy to build a sort of a program for students in global collaboration. There already exist other platforms in a way, Planet Fraternity, Icon Project, but now we are doing something which is giving a sort of Ignatian imprint. And this is really beautiful because how are we going to get on board students from all over the world tackling global issues which are really challenging to them, to us, and they form panel discussions to create actual activities to see how locally and globally they can act towards these challenges. In fact, nowadays we are starting to use as well the word local, because you can't leave the local out of the global citizenship. Okay, so these are the tools in a way that are really helping us in the schools to help our students, to empower them to become compassionate and socially responsible leaders, not only political leaders, leaders in their families, leaders at work, leaders in the service system. So how are we forming our future leaders socially, culturally, politically, whatever dimension it is? Thank you. For finishing, I think I would like to show a video.
Yes, I was saying that we have another small contribute. Let me find just a second.
And it's just a video taken from Educate Marches of how this is practiced in some schools around the world.
Schools, review footage on the work of global citizenship education in the Jesuit convents.
I found this was a fun and practical way to incorporate global citizenship into my math class, something which isn't always easy to do.
Through global citizenship education, we've learned how to empower our students to assume active roles in society, recognizing its needs and taking action.
We found this to be an easy and exciting way to bring students from different countries and cultures together.
An important part of being a global citizen is having a feeling of shared responsibility toward our Earth and our brothers and sisters around the world.
Usamos este documento en nuestra Semana Ignaciana para aprender más sobre el concepto de ciudadanía global y poder así enseñárselo a nuestros alumnos.
I enjoy this video as it gives me perspectives not only from different regions of the world, but from people working in Jesuit education.
We found it really helped our students to understand the refugee crisis as well as realize their own responsibility and opportunity to do something positive in light of this crisis.
É uma oportunidade única para os estudantes entrarem em contato com seus pares em diferentes países e cultura, mas que compartilham com eles a mesma identidade ignaciana.
Ciertamente nos ayuda a abrir nuestras mentes y corazones a las experiencias y perspectivas de nuestros colegas de todo el mundo.
And it also makes them understand the fact that there are people from all across the world who share the rich global Ignatian identity.
So thanks. I want to thank you again for this really interesting beginning of this morning. Well, we are almost noon. We have still a little bit of time for some questions from you, if you wish to go deeper in some of the rich arguments that we have treated, from servant leader to the foundation that we have explored a little bit with Father Barretta. Any question from you? Please.
There's a roving mic. A roving mic.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Excellent presentation by both of you. Josephine, I'm Mark Rickard. My background is medical education, so I've been in education all my life, and I'm a professor in both in obstetrics and in medical education. Good. Now, when you're dealing with more our old background education in Jesuit schools and universities, there's a lot of individualization, recognition of individual talents, and then bringing them up through the surface. Now, I also have Benedictine education, and Benedictine specifically goes to individuals identifying their talents and using their talents, as opposed to uniformity. And this, for me, was a big difference to my Jesuit education. So, and the other thing is, of course, where I've worked, I've come across multicultural dimensions, you know, both in London, both now, and even when I traveled abroad in Russia. And I see this, and I think what you're doing is a wonderful work. But our big problem, I think, is in many countries, there is the famous national curriculum, yeah? And the national curriculum destroys the charisma of all the individual schools, especially Catholic schools, because you've got to stick to your national curriculum, and it's very difficult when you're preparing people for university to get away from the national curriculum, because everybody, as you said, the education officers and heads are always jumping on you. So how can we keep the Ignatian, in our case, St. Aloysius, charisma and character, if every time you deviate from the national curriculum, you're risking getting lower marks in your public exams, you know, and not being able to further your now, we were brought up with a lot of Jesuits coming with experiences from all over the world, you know. Our lessons used to be limited to little bits, yeah. Now, with the national curriculum, they're hammered because they've got to achieve certain milestones, and if they don't, you know, they're penalized. So, you know, we would like to see the option for the poor reinforced in our time with Father Pedro Ruppe, global citizenship, environment, whatever. But it's got a big nation stamp on it. And it's got to compete with this national curriculum that we are all hampered by. Okay.
Well, you're talking about national curriculum.
Yeah.
There has been a lot of developments in the national curriculum, both in Malta, even in Italy, and even in Albania, even though there is sort of a submission to the government in Albania. And speaking from my own experience in national curriculum, I ended up the last 5 years, now I've been 10 years retired, and actually, but the last 5 years I was an assistant director of curriculum. Let's speak of Malta first of all. And it happened that my last 5 years as an assistant director of curriculum responsible for all the humanistic subjects and areas like citizenship education, intercultural education, entrepreneurship education, there was a change in the curriculum. And today, in fact, this is some of the things that is worrying St. Aloysius School. There was an introduction no longer on going through a formative the way of assessing them by marks, but there has been created, because I was creating it with my own subject education officers, an assistant director as a number of education officers responsible there, we created a learning outcomes framework. So today, and even in Italy, I'm noticing that there has been a change even in the strategy, because even Italy has introduced a strategy for global citizenship education in the curriculum for state schools. So, and since 2018, the Ministry of Education in Italy has obliged all new teachers to be trained in global citizenship education. So this is becoming, in these last, let's say 5 years, 6 years, global citizenship has entered everywhere. It's becoming very, very important. And even in Italy, there is even a strategy on sustainable development. Why am I connecting global citizenship and sustainable development? Because even in Italy, during the training programs for state teachers, one of the presentations was by a professor in India, I don't remember her name, was linking global citizenship to the 17 sustainable goals, that is Agenda 2030. And when I saw this presentation, I realized as well that the 17 objectives of sustainable development are really the roadmap to global citizenship. So, in a way, the curriculum in Italy and teachers in Italy are already being prepared in this line. Another thing, okay, I was a teacher and I had the influence of the national curriculum. I had a fixed syllabus and even a textbook. But here, when we come to the formation of teachers, okay, one thing that we are encouraging in teachers is to be creative. Don't stick to that book. You've got the context, all right, but see how you're going to present it to the students in a creative way. Because if you just present content to the students would ignore you, because that content already exists on the internet. And today, educators are no longer instructors, they are facilitators in the class. In fact, in Malta, when there is a school audit, one of the main and principal things that auditors look for is the protagonism of students in class. How much is the teacher helping the students to question, to discuss, to argue, and to come up with decisions? And that means preparing teachers even in their questioning strategy. Because it depends on the way you question students, you would help them to arrive to a certain conclusion themselves. And it's not the teacher's way to do. That's why sometimes children are bored because teachers are just using content. And today, thank God to the digital world and technology. I mean, I've seen it. Vincenzo's not here, but I was very much surprised when I was visiting the school last March. I did workshop sessions with students, and they had a worksheet which I really wanted them to work. None of them was carrying a paper. They all had their own iPads. The material was sent to the students. They worked online, and they sent them to me by email. So how are we helping even young people use the new technology? And besides, if we want to be sustainable, we have to do away with this. Okay, you can't have green policies and then demand teachers to give out our handouts. It's really contradictory. Okay, so yes, and in Albania, the government is still imposing. In fact, in Albania, I was speaking to Giuseppe previously. It's one of our schools that has religious diversity. First of all, there are 4 religions in the school. Children who are Catholic, Orthodox, Muslims, and evangelicals. Most of the teachers are not all Catholic and Muslims. Religion is not taught in the school. There is still the influence of the government. But, and yet, the school, through the way it is creatively managed by the presence of Jesuits and the formation of teachers in Ignatian pedagogy, they try to create a sort of dynamic strategy of giving them a sort of pedagogical paradigm. We all train teachers in the IPP, the Ignatian Pedagogical Paradigm. And in our Ignatian schools, even on Sant'Ignazio, they've been doing Ignatian Pedagogical Paradigm. But do teachers practice it? Because it depends on the teacher. And it depends, and here I come to another very crucial point which we'll be discussing in the global gathering in Indonesia. How much of our teachers are really prepared in Ignatian spirituality and have gone through the spiritual exercises? Because in the spiritual exercises, there is the dynamic which can be used as a pedagogical tool. Okay, so there is but how much are teachers investing time to research material, and be creative so that they make their lessons really enjoyable and challenging. We have to challenge those students as well.
Thanks, Josephine. We have time just for one another re-telegraphic question, and maybe if we.
I sent one to the preacher. I sent one.
Just give me a second.
Good, you use technology. Thank you. Thank you very much. Oh, I mean, because he was promoting the code there.
Huge thanks. Thanks for the outstanding work. We're Illinois. How do you incorporate the ideas and experience of us and the new scheme?
Very interesting question. In fact, I was.
Let me make a point on.
Yes.
Yeah, obviously, we are not in education. We are not in education. You are experienced guys, you are experienced people, but we are majority of 99% of alumni are outside the school system. But we have experiences worldwide in all the areas, in all the activities. How can we, or the people close to us, help in this process of adapting to the new world?
So I think, in fact, I was telling Giuseppe that after leaving this meeting, do you have any task? Or are you just leaving, having achieved something? And I think we have to start here, going home. What can we take back home and keep in touch with the Confederation to start creating something, helping you how to form yourselves in this perspective, in a way, and not just remaining with yourselves. I think this is part of our evangelization. How are we going back home and promoting it in our environment, in our world, wherever we are? So I'm thinking here, what I'm feeling there is a call for your formation. Did I get it right? That's it. So here is a call for formation of ex-alumni in this one, in this field.
Dear Father Claudio, dear Josephine, and also the question of my friend from Spain. I can say that we as alumni can be a support to the educational community. Why? For which reason? Because we are the person in the societies that have received in the past that background of education. It is different that as an actor in the school. We are the actor in the society that share that culture. And so we can be, if we work in the right direction, a bridge between school, between university also, and the society for our function. And I want to add that this vocation, the environment, the level of governance for you in Italy, and I hope also for our European friend, is the European level. Because if we look at the main topic of our global society, the environment, the digital, the social cohesion, we cannot look at our life of association at regional or local level, but we can look to the regional and local level being first of all European community, because this is our common issue. And giving your word, I think that any of us go out rich. And allow me to, in my responsibility for institutional and international relations, to thank my friend Gianpaolo Marini, because Gianpaolo in these years has been for us our point of reference also when there isn't the interest for the international relation. We have different age. Gianpaolo for us is a point of reference, and our way to live our community is also this way, the intergenerational way of life. We look our experts, our point reference, with our perspective, that is the young of first generation, the young of second generation. I am the young of second generation. But I want to thank Gianpaolo in this session of international relations. Thank you very much.
I just want to add one thing. I mean, going through the exhibition on Cardinal Martini, referring to the European context, and there is one beautiful saying which regards European citizenship as well.
Yeah.
And it says, unity will rather be the fruit of the free will of peoples, especially now we're voting into Easter, which in its turn presupposes and requires an authentic moral maturity. Action is necessary to achieve an authentic and widespread democracy. Europeans whose common citizenship the Maastricht Treaty recognizes, so here he's calling us European citizens, not only global citizens, okay, must be guaranteed real citizen participation and the great choices of Europe. Because that's why we are calling it local now, starting from local, European, and international. Ending the sensation that the European Union is simply a matter of summits. So is this going to end just as a summit? Or how are we going back home? That it does not concern ordinary people. This is one of the in fact, I photoed a number of quotes by Cardinal Martini, which I consider very much relevant to our meeting today.
Thank you all.
May I say something?
Please read.
Yes.
Thanks.
I don't know if this is working.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Just to give also an answer to Juan Carlos regarding how can we incorporate these ideas and experience in this new scheme. ECGA belongs to the General Assembly of XIII. And I had the opportunity to represent in the General Assembly, and we have presented also the ECGA position regarding this decision. In fact, I transmitted Agnieszka that we can help the schools by providing mentoring and job shadowing. Those are projects that we are doing in Portugal. The local association is working directly with the school, providing training capacities for students to go into the companies and to live these Ignatian principles with the alumni that have also these Ignatian principles. So I think the best way to incorporate these ideas is having projects together between the local associations and the schools. And therefore, the students and alumni will work together on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Before closing with the please.
I just wanted to say just 2 words that's connected to what you were saying, Josephine. I'm Ricardo from Portugal. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm from Portugal, representing Portugal in ECGA. I just wanted to point out that information because it's interesting, because tomorrow we're going to have a presentation on Erasmus Plus, yes. And it goes along with all of those information. So I just wanted to stress that information. It's very useful, very interesting what you've been doing on that. And it goes absolutely connected with inclusion, digitalization, civical engagement, climate changes, and all of that information that it's very interesting. And also diversity and so on. It's very connected with Erasmus Plus. That's why we plan to implement those projects connected with CGA. Just wanted to let you know that.
Thank you.
It's interesting.
Thank you. Just before closing with a small surprise from Josephine, I want to call on stage
Ciro, for our former worldwide.
Excuse me, because my presence here is quite abusive. Yes.
No.
Absolutely abusive. But there is a reason why. Because as my father is Jesuit, I don't like to use this one. I say that my presence is abusive here, but there is a reason why so. Because as my son is a Jesuit, I don't want to mix my activity in the community of the Port 11, des anciennes élèves, et sa profession et his ministry. Okay? But a long experience about in my community. Jesuit schools and all the approach that was guided by the several fathers of the company, starting from and if I can say something about a little add that way to do when we speak of men focus, because he suggests us to add men for others with the others. So it's very important. And then for a company and so why? I don't know why I'm here, but there is a special purpose I choose to be here. Because we work much on the subject of the permanent education. Permanent education is, in my mind, not a theoretical assumption, but it is inserted really in the experience. This is the reason why, preparing the Congress, the World Union Congress in Leone, I organized a team of students here of this school. Concerning this thing, the permanent education, what's mean? The result was a video that unfortunately the time is not very old, and a paper that I would like to give to you that goes which side and I hold. That does not mean that is a difficult question, but is we consider that is important to know de connaître mieux soi-même pour participer au knowing self and then to be interconnected with others. So this is a way that is a result of a team of 20 students adults that worked close for a long period and represented the Global Congress. It seems to me that it is so important to consider that we have to start from the experience that I would like to give you this document if you want to.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ciro, for this.